G'day everyone, welcome to the second video for this week, and in the second video, pretty much the opposite of the first one, I'm going to be going on about 5 things I hate about my Suzuki Grand Vitara and throwing in a few bonus ones as well. So, first and foremost, the oil filter location. So, I have the 2.4 litre, the J24B engine in this, 4-cylinder. Yeah, this, because you're running up against the side of the frame rail and the strut tower and your air conditioning pipes, it is an absolute pain in the ass to get the oil filter off of this car. I have spent hours going through different tools, buying different tools to try and make it easier. It is still a pain in the ass. Yeah, I really wish there was a company out there that would make maybe a remote oil filter relocation thing. It's terrible. The exhaust manifold is hot for hours after running the car. The exhaust heat shield is a pain to get off, damn near impossible without bending it. And if you don't take it off, well, say goodbye to the skin on your hands because you're going to get cut up by that exhaust shield. And even when you do actually get the oil filter off, it pours down the side of the engine block all over the front diff. And it just goes everywhere. The easiest part about servicing this car is probably me taking the bash plates off because that filter sucks. Let's move on to the second thing I hate about this Grand Vitara. Alright, so second thing I don't like about this Grand Vitara is the lack of aftermarket parts. You can get a few things for this car. Like I mentioned before, I've actually got some bash plates from, I think it's Custom Offroad. Highly recommend them. I got the 3-piece kit, so it does the transmission, the engine, and the front radiator support. Apart from that, you can get obviously lift springs, but you can get lifted suspension from almost any vehicle here in Australia. So you can get some more obscure stuff. You can get rock sliders, which is made by one company in Australia. You can sort of get a backbone kit for the roof. Very hard to get, but you can get one. Bull bars and things like that, you can get 2 different bull bars. You've either got ARB or you've got X-Rocks. That's it. When it comes to rear bar work, pretty much almost got nothing except for, again, the same company that makes the rock sliders. They also do a flat pack, build it yourself rear bar that you've got to integrate into the tow bar and things like that. So you got to make your own mounts for it. There's nothing you can just bolt straight onto the car. I guess you can also get snorkels for these as well. That's kind of a given for any 4-wheel drive, just like with lift springs. You can get that stuff from anywhere. There is a custom, I think it's a 3 or 4 inch. I think it's actually a 4-inch stainless steel snorkel. I think it's too big for the Grand Vitara. A 3-inch would be fine, but a 4-inch, it just looks goofy. You know, you can get the normal safari snorkels and they're just fine. So you don't have bits like you do with all the other, cult following cars. Even Suzuki Jimneys, you can get custom headlights, custom tail lights, you can get custom interior pieces, custom engine bay pieces, you can get supercharger kits and turbo kits and aftermarket ECUs and body lifts and suspension stuff out the wazoo with remote res, shock absorbers and all that sort of stuff. You can get in a full exhaust system just delivered to your door. You can't get an exhaust system for this, you got to get one made. And I don't even know any company that makes extractors for this car. So a lot of the stuff you get, you're going to have to customize, or you're going to have to pay through the teeth for the privilege to actually have, rock sliders or snorkel or, front and rear bars, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, bit of a bummer. I wish these had a cult following like the Suzuki Jimneys, but I guess these aren't as popular. Jump on to the third thing, which will be inside the car. Alright, so the third thing that I hate about my Grand Vitara is the 4-speed automatic. Now, don't get me wrong, it's serviceable, you can use it, but I can't help feel like if it had one extra gear, it would just be a lot nicer to drive. I say if you're going up a big mountain or something, like just driving on the road, not on tracks of course, the car just is always first, second, and unless you're confident enough to obviously put it in whatever gear first, so your low, which is your first, and then your second and all that, and just tell it to stay in that gear, it is a huge pain, because if you leave it in drive, it's just going to keep going up and down and up and down, and it's a headache. You lose all your momentum as soon as it shifts up, and even with the little power button on, all it does is really just hold the gear for a tiny bit longer. It doesn't keep it in lower gears. I feel like if they put in a 5-speed auto from the V6 models, that would be great. I'm sure the bell housings and stuff are completely different. But yeah, if this had a 5-speed auto, it would be a lot nicer. But by all means, you can still get around with the 4-speed. It's just you're at a bit of a gearing disadvantage when it comes to getting up sort of steep things. So obviously when you're off-roading, it's a lot better because you just chuck it in the low range and then you got all the gearing you need. But yeah, just something that annoys me on a day-to-day basis, I guess. But yeah, I'll go on to the next thing now. So the next thing is the full-time four-wheel drive system. As you can probably see down here, we've got neutral, 4 high lock, 4 low lock. There is no two-wheel drive, which would be nice because, well, no other reason than really just to do skids, I guess. But I get kind of jelly of all my mates who can, well, actually I've only got one mate that can really put theirs into two-wheel drive, but it looks pretty fun, and it'd be great to have the option to have this in two-wheel drive for when you're on the roads and not on tracks, and then also just have a bit of fun as well in the wet or out in, you know, full driving tracks, not on road, obviously. I'd love there to be a two-wheel drive option, because then that would unlock the ability to get freewheeling hubs for the front, which should help with fuel economy, things like that. So just something that would be cool, but is definitely not possible in this car because the way that the transfer case system works and the center diff and all that stuff. So definitely does work like that in the older Grand Vitaras, but sadly not in this one. Let's move on to the next thing. Another thing that actually really annoys me is the lack of a glove box light. Now, I don't know what Suzuki was thinking. They were saving their 20 yen when they were like, oh, let's put let's put nothing inside of there, really. There's no light, no nothing. It's kind of weird because you got map lights here, you got a roof light there, you got another roof light in the boot, and also another light in the side of the boot. So how many interior lights do you want? But you can't give us one in the glove box. I'd happily give up the one in the very back of the car to have a light inside of that. But apparently the, I don't know, $2.95 was too much. That one actually really annoys me, as you can probably tell. But yeah, it's just a cost-cutting measure that I don't necessarily understand, but I don't make cars, so I don't really know either. Alright, so 2 bonus things now that all those 5 are out of the way. One is the fuel economy. Like I mentioned earlier with the transmission, gearing, disadvantages, all that sort of stuff. And also having the option to go to two-wheel drive and have freewheeling hubs at the front. The fuel economy in these cars, not great. It might actually be better in the V6. In fact, I'm fairly sure it is better in the V6, or at least a 3.2. The fuel economy, not great. I get around 12.5 litres on the highway, and around town it could be 15, 16 litres. But that said, I do have a car full of stuff for the most part, like all the drawers and stuff in the back, the dual battery, all the gear on the roof, the bash plates, the tow bar, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, the fuel economy isn't great, but that is just sort of something that goes hand in hand with having a vehicle that is a full drive that you can also use on the road. So it's one of those things, but just something to keep in mind. Last bonus thing is just the lower control arm bushes. They are notorious in these cars for just giving up and just cracking, stretching and splitting. And so it's not uncommon from the research I've done on the forums to see people doing their lower control arm bushes every 40,000 Ks, 60,000 Ks, especially if they take it off road. My bushes have needed to be replaced for the entire time I've owned this car, and they're still holding up. They're not doing as well as they used to. Surprisingly, I haven't really noticed any accelerated rate of cracking or anything after putting the lift kit in, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But those lower control arm bushes are terrible. They're just not a good design for a four-wheel drive. They're great for the Suzuki Swift and the SX4 and all the other bits. A road-going car, those sort of control arm design, bushing designs make sense on a full drive vehicle that is probably going to either have a lot of weight in it or going over some rough stuff, tracks, full driving, having a lift kit and weight put in the car. It just doesn't make sense. And again, I think it's just another cost saving measure that Suzuki was like, all right, let's take that design from the parts bin, use it on the front here, it'll be fine. The rear end suspension is actually great. I love the way that it's all set up back there. It is bloody awesome. But yeah, those front lower control arm bushes are terrible. And I see nothing but people complaining about having to replace them so often. You can get polyurethane ones, but with that comes more noise, harshness, and vibrations. And I would imagine you would probably lose a little bit of articulation maybe. I'm not an expert, but yeah. It is well and truly dark now. So yeah, thank you very much if you watched all the way to the end of the video. I greatly appreciate that. I thought I'd put these 2 videos up back to back on the same day to sort of celebrate hitting 1,000 subs, but I will be filming a purpose 1,000 sub video. That will just come out a bit later, but I am working on that. I've also got a laundry list of stuff I need to catch up on. I've got a lot of videos that have little tiny pieces all sort of scattered around the place, and yeah, it has been rough. It has been very rough. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Anyway guys, catch you in the next video.